Okay, guys, I want you to picture this. It's 1996, and you're on Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. The desert night is silent, but something's off. Your dogs are growling, and a strange, bone-chilling snarl cuts through the dark. You grab your rifle and flashlight, walk outside and look around, and that's when you notice glowing eyes staring back. You pick up your rifle, fire, but nothing happens. And then it vanishes, leaving a huge claw mark in the snow. Your dogs chase after it into the dark. Do you see them again or not? What's happening here? Why does this place feel alive? And why does it feel like it's watching you? Welcome to Skinwalker Ranch. Let's dive in. Okay, welcome back, listeners and watchers, to another spine-chilling episode of Relative Perspective Paranormal Confessions. As always, I'm your host, Steven, and tonight we're diving headfirst into one of the creepiest places on Earth, Skinwalker Ranch. Now, this place is a 512-acre nightmare in Utah in the Uinta Basin that's been freaking people out for a long time. This ain't just a ghost story, folks. It's a real-life X-Files episode packed with UFOs, mutilated cattle, shape-shifting creatures, and phenomena so bizarre, even the Pentagon had to turn their head and take a look at this place. Tonight, we're going deep, so I want you guys to buckle up, grab something to hold on to, and let's unravel the mystery of the Skinwalker Ranch together. But before we do that, hopefully I'm doing my job. You're already creeped out. I'd like you to hit that subscribe button, smash down on the like button, and join our crew of truth seekers. Share this with your friends who love a good scare, and let's blow this thing up. I'd like to see how many subscribers we can at least get in 1 week. Anyways, you got a creepy confession of your own. Maybe you've seen something weird in the desert. I want you to drop in the comments below, or you can email us at relativeperspective76@gmail. I can't believe I forgot my own dang email. Anyways, relativeperspective76@gmail.com. We might feature it on a future episode. All right, let's get into it. Okay, let me try to set the scene. The Skinwalker Ranch sits in the Uinta Basin, a remote stretch of northeastern Utah, surrounded by rugged mesas, dusty trails, and the Ute Indian Reservation. This place feels like the edge of the world. It's barren, it's quiet, with skies so big that it feels like it's swallowing you up whole. But there's something else here, something heavy in the air. The Ute people have long whispered about this land, calling it cursed, a place where spirits and strange things roam. The name Skinwalker comes from a Navajo legend, malevolent witches who can shapeshift into animals. They can also move through dimensions and mess with your head. But what's weird is that this ranch is not on Navajo land, it's actually Ute territory. But the two tribes, they didn't get along very well. And some say the Navajo cursed this place centuries ago, unleashing something dark that's still here lurking to this day. I want you to imagine you're standing there with your boots crunching in that red dirt. The wind is carrying a weird hum that doesn't sound natural, and the stars are blazing, but the darkness around you feels alive. Have you ever been somewhere that just feels off? That's Skinwalker Ranch. Now, what would you do if you heard that snarl in the dark? Would you grab a flashlight and investigate, or haul ass out of there like I would do? Yes, I would definitely haul ass, most definitely. Okay, this story didn't get famous until these people called the Shermans showed up. Now, let's meet them. You have Terry and Gwen. They're a hardworking couple who bought the ranch in 1994, hoping for a quiet life raising cattle with their two kids. They purchased the place from a guy by the name of Garth Myers, whose family owned it for 60 years. Now, Myers swore up and down that nothing weird has ever happened there, but the Shermans tell a way different story. After purchasing that ranch, it only took a few months for their dreams to turn into nightmares. It actually started kind of small. Terry was out checking the cattle, and he noticed strange lights in the skies. He's got glowing orbs that's darting like they're alive. They're not planes, they're not stars. These things were way different. One night, he sees a box-like craft with a white light hovering silently, then it zips off faster than anything he's ever seen before. A few days later, he spots a 40-foot-long object, sleek and metallic, And then the big one hits. A ship the size of several football fields cruising across the night sky like it owns the place. Now listen, Terry is not a UFO nut. He's a rancher, a normal guy just like you and me, but these sightings keep happening. And he's not the only one that saw them. His wife Gwen and his 2 kids saw them too. Now I have to ask, what would you think if you saw glowing orbs zigzagging over your house? Alien, military, or something else? Okay, real talk. Now maybe y'all can help me out. I've seen lights actually in my backyard, and these things are wild. Nobody can tell me what the hell they are. They actually fly across the sky, and they light up and then they dim. They're about the size of a star actually, but it's not a star. But it just looks like a star. You know, like they're playing. It's almost like they're playing hide and seek. They usually show up at the same time each night at around 9:30. And I actually called the airport and asked the guy a couple of questions, and I'll go ahead and get into that after I show you the videos. Go ahead and take a look at this, and please tell me. I mean, I've asked it seems like millions of people, and nobody can actually tell me what these things are. But I'd like you to take a look at this and tell me what you think. Look, that's way over there. Watch, it's glowing, and then it's going to go out. Look, those are the towers. That's not a tower. Watch. It's going to go out in just a second. Oh, it went out. Okay, it's starting to bright up again. Oh, yeah, look, there it is right there. This is not a satellite, baby. Satellites move. This is not moving. Satellites go fast across the sky. And it's dimmed out again. Oh, damn, it got really bright there, bud. Damn.
I got it. I'm filming it right there.
Cow. That is the brightest I've ever seen it. That bitch is bright.
Whoa. Getting on my phone, good.
Okay, now, like I said, I called the airport and I had, I asked the guy a couple of questions. I don't know if you noticed in one of the videos, there's 2 tall phone towers. And he actually is the one that told me they're up at like 1,700 and something feet high. And I asked him, I said, well, if these are hobby drones, how high can hobby drones fly? And he said, they're legally only allowed to fly up to 400 feet. And they're supposed to, especially at night, they're supposed to continuously keep their lights on. And these things, they glow and then they die, and they move in different directions. Sometimes they sit still. Sometimes they cross paths. I just don't, I pretty much see them every night. I had to stop looking because it was driving me crazy. So again, if you happen to know what these things are, if you have a theory of what these things are, go ahead and drop it down in the comments. I would really appreciate the help because, like I said, it's driving me crazy. And I think it's driving my wife crazy because every time I see them, I have to call her out there and tell her to come look. Anyways, okay, let's get back into it. Now, for the Shermans, it gets worse. They start finding their cattle mutilated, not just dead, but surgically carved up. They had cows with their eyes, tongues, and organs removed, but there was no blood, no tracks. It's like something lifted them off the ground and then dropped them after they were done doing what they needed to do. One cow's got a perfect circle cut out on its hide, and it looked like it was cut with a laser. Now, Terry told Desert News in 1996, he said, "We've seen the crafts and then the cattle. We have a problem here." Now, he was definitely convinced that the UFOs and mutilations were linked. And this isn't 1 or 2 cows, guys. It's dozen over months, costing them thousands of dollars and hitting their livelihoods, man. This is how they made their money. Now, I want you to imagine that you're Terry. You go out and you find your prize heifer gutted with no blood, no footprints, just a perfect hole where its heart used to be. The only thing that's bleeding out is your livelihood, and something's watching from the dark. Now, would you stay and fight, or would you pack up and run? Okay, now let's talk about that big-ass wolf that we talked about in the intro. Now, this story is straight out of Terry Sherman's mouth. He did an interview with a guy by the name of George Knapp. He was a local reporter, and it's one of the creepiest things that I think I've ever heard, and the saddest, too, because I'm a big dog lover. Foreshadowing there, anyways. Anyway, one night, Terry hears his dogs going nuts. He grabs his .30-06 rifle, and he steps outside. There, in the beam of his flashlight, stood this huge wolf, but not like any wolf. It was massive. He said it was 3 times the size of any normal wolf that he's ever seen, with glowing yellow eyes. Terry tells Knapp he fired multiple shots, and he said he was dead on, and the thing didn't even move. Now, Terry said from what I understand, Terry said it was a good shot, and he said he knows he hit the thing, but the creature just stares at him, didn't move, and then it vanishes into the dark. Terry follows its tracks, but they stop dead, like they evaporated, like, where did it go, Now he goes back and he grabs his dogs to track it, and they take off snarling into the brush. Then, nothing. Terry goes out to try to find them, and he finds them later, but they were actually reduced to piles of ashes, like they were incinerated. There was no smell, no scorch marks, just ash. And in the snow nearby, he saw another single huge claw mark 6 inches wide, and it had 2 sharp talons. Colm Kelleher, a scientist who later studied the ranch, described it as a raptor's print, but huge, from a very, very heavy creature. Now, I know this is hard to do because I'm a dog lover, this would kill me, but imagine you're Terry, rifle shaking, staring at ash that used to be your dog. The air is buzzing like it's charged. Do you keep searching, or lock yourself inside, praying it doesn't come back? Now, the Shermans actually toughed this thing out for 18 months. They had lights, mutilations, that wolf, and a whole lot more. They heard disembodied voices floating above them, speaking in weird languages. They had crop circles appeared in their fields, perfect and unexplained. Their kids actually saw shadow figures in the woods, and equipment kept failing, like their radios, cameras, even tractors, like something was jamming them up. Terry told Desert News, "For a long time, we wondered if it was a top secret project, but I don't know what to think anymore." Wynn said it felt like the ranch was alive, and it was messing with them. By 1996, they had enough, and they sold the ranch to a guy by the name of Robert Bigelow, a billionaire UFO enthusiast, for only $200,000 and got the hell out of there. Now, that's not exactly a jackpot for 512 acres. That kind of tells me that they weren't in it for the money. Now in walks Robert Bigelow. He's a billionaire with a passion for the paranormal. In 1995, he founded the National Institute for Discovery Science, or NIDS, a team of scientists to study UFOs and weird stuff. Now, Skinwalker Ranch was actually a jackpot. This place had it all and then some. Bigelow bought the ranch in 1996 and turned it into a high-tech lab with cameras, sensors, and 24/7 surveillance. His team, led by a guy by the name of Colm Kelleher, logged hundreds of incidents. Now, the team actually saw the same lights that Sherman's did. They had the orbs, metallic craft, even a huge ship like Terry described. They had cattle mutilations that continued with the same bloodless precision. One night, a NIDS researcher saw a humanoid figure, tall and shadowy, moving through the trees. Another time, they caught a glowing orb on camera, diving into the mesa like it was entering some kind of a portal. They also had equipment failure constantly. Their sensors were fried, their cameras glitched, like something didn't want to be seen. Now, Kelleher wrote in The Hunt for the Skinwalker that they got very little physical evidence despite years of work, but crazy stuff happened all the time. Now, I want you to imagine you're a NIDS scientist with millions in gear, and every time you get close, the phenomena shifts like they're toying with you. Does that sound like alien, spirits, or something we can't even name? Now, let's dig into some more stories from people who've actually been to Skinwalker Ranch. These are folks that aren't the Shermans or the Bigelow crew, but whose accounts add to the creep factor and will definitely make your skin crawl. Now, first up, we have a guy by the name of Ryan Skinner. He's a paranormal investigator who's been to the ranch multiple times since the early 2000s. In his book, Skinwalker Ranch, No Trespassing, he describes a night in 2009 when he and 2 buddies snuck onto the ranch. Imagine that. His name is No Trespassing, and he trespassed. Anyways, they're hiking near the mesa when their flashlights start flickering, both flashlights, both guys, and they die. Then that's when they start hearing footsteps, heavy, deliberate, circling in the dark. Now, Ryan swears up and down that he saw a shadow taller than a man with no clear edges moving through the trees. They hauled ass out of there, but here's the kicker. For weeks after, Ryan's car alarms would go off at random, always around 2 a.m. in the morning, even when parked in the garage. Then there's a guy by the name of Junior Hicks. He's a local Uinta Basin resident who's been collecting stories from neighbors for decades. Hicks, quoted in Hunt for the Skinwalker, says he's talked to over 400 people who've seen weird stuff near the ranch since the 1950s. One story he shared was from a rancher named Tom Gorman, not Terry Sherman. He says this is a different guy who lived nearby in the 1980s. Now, Gorman told Hicks that he saw a huge black triangle floating over his field one night, silent, with 3 red lights at each corner. Now, that's when his horse went nuts, breaking the fence, and it got away. The next morning, he found one horse with burns on its legs, like it had been zapped by something. Now, Hicks said that Gorman was a no-nonsense guy, not prone to making things up. Another chilling account comes from a Ute tribal member. He was interviewed by Colm Kelleher in 2002, and he wished to be anonymous. Now, this guy was hunting near the ranch in the 1990s. Then he felt eyes on him. He looked up and saw a figure, human-like, but not human. It was standing on a ridge. It was tall, maybe 7 feet tall, with a head that looked wrong, too big and angular. He blinked, and the thing disappeared. He told Kelleher that the Utes avoid the ranch because their elders say it's a bad place where spirits or others live. Now, what's others? He never hunted there again. Imagine you're out there hunting, you feel that prickle on your neck, and you see that dude standing up on the ridge. Do you keep your cool, or do you drop your rifle and run? I would probably run, but I would definitely keep my hands on my rifle. That's just me. All right, now let's go to the next one. It's a guy by the name of Chris Marks. He's actually a former security guard for the Bigelow NIDS team in the late 1990s. In a 2021 interview on the Skinwalker Debrief podcast, Marks described an encounter that still haunts him to this day. One night, while patrolling the ranch, he saw what looked like a distortion in the air. He said it kind of looked like heat waves, but at 2 a.m. and it was cold as hell, and I just don't think you would see that. Then he aimed his thermal scope at it, and the readings went haywire. It was showing hot spots that moved, then stopped, and then shot straight up in the air. The next day, he went out and investigated, and he found a patch of ground nearby where the grass was flattened, and it had like a spiral pattern like something heavy had landed. Now, after that, Marks said that he felt watched the whole time, like something was sizing him up. He quit a year later, saying the ranch changed him. Now, would you stick around after that or say peace out like Marks did? Peace out. Yeah, I would definitely say peace out. Now, guys, these stories aren't just campfire tales. They're from people who've been there. They felt the ranch's vibe and left with more questions than answers. Now, what do you think's going on? Are these folks seeing things, or is the ranch really a hot spot for the unexplainable? Drop your thoughts down below. I'd like to hear what you think. Now, here's where it really gets wild, in my opinion. In 2007, the Pentagon's Advanced Aerial Threat Identification Program, or ATIP, funded by Senator Harry Reid with $22 million, took an interest in Skinwalker Ranch. Now, why do you think they did? Well, I guess it's because of the phenomena, the UFOs, the mutilations, and all the anomalies. It raised national security questions. Was this alien tech, enemy tech, or something else? Now, Bigelow's NIDS got a chunk of the money to keep studying the ranch. They didn't find aliens, but they documented enough to keep the Pentagon curious. Now, ATIP's declassified reports mention anomalous aerial phenomena and unexplained physical effects at the ranch. Now, think about it. The U.S. government, not exactly known for chasing ghosts, spent millions on this place. Now, you guys are taxpayers, and you're hearing that your money is going to studying glowing orbs and bulletproof wolves. Does that make you pissed or intrigued? Hell, maybe I can get them to drop me some cash from them damn glowing orbs I got out there that y'all saw earlier. I don't know. We'll see. I'll try it out. Let's fast forward to 2016, and in walks Brendan Fugel, a Utah real estate tycoon that actually buys the ranch from Bigelow initially as a skeptic. He'd never seen a UFO or a ghost, but he wanted to know if the stories were true. He actually set up his own team led by astrophysicist Travis Taylor and principal investigator Eric Bard, and then they let the History Channel film it, and it's called The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. It's a pretty good show. Y'all ought to check it out. Now, Fugel's team picks up where NIDS left off, using drones, LiDAR, thermal cameras, and even drilling into the mesa. They've actually got this jaw-dropping moment in season 1. A cow drops dead right after a UFO is flying above. Then it looks like it was mutilated with surgical precision. They go back and they look at their computer screens. They actually caught a small UAP, or unidentified aerial phenomena. I'd much rather say UFO, but that's just me. They actually caught this thing on camera diving into the mesa like it was going into a portal. Now, thermal scans show heat anomalies like something's moving under the ground. One experiment involving a Native American drum circle triggers 2 UAPs diving into the mesa caught on tape. Local Utes who avoid the ranch say they felt watched during that ritual. Now, Hugel himself had a close encounter, a UFO in broad daylight. It was horizontal, metallic, with multiple witnesses. He told Newsweek, "I acquired the ranch as a skeptic, but that changed fast." Also, Travis Taylor was a hardcore skeptic as well. He was a scientist, he had 5 degrees, and he said he'd seen enough now to follow the data and not dismiss it. On one show, they found ancient petroglyphs on the ranch. Some depicted spirals, or what the locals claimed to be as portals, hinting the Utes knew about this stuff a long time. Now, the Skinwalker Ranch has this other phenomenon called the hitchhiker effect. Now, the hitchhiker effect, this is where people who visit the Skinwalker Ranch report weird stuff following them home. They got shadows, orbs, even poltergeist activity like stuff moving around. Travis Taylor on the show actually told George Knapp in 2022 that he experienced it himself. He had strange noises, objects moving, like something tagged along. And years before, NIDS researchers reported the same thing, with one saying a presence followed him home to Vegas. Now, I'm sure you've heard about this guy. His name is Post Malone. He toured the ranch in 2021, but he got so scared that he didn't even talk about what happened to him. Now we have another visitor, a journalist named Linda Moulton Howe. She actually reported in a 2018 lecture that after visiting the ranch, her hotel room's electronics went haywire. Her TV was turning on and off, her phone was ringing with no caller, and she felt pressure in the room, like something was there. Now, I have to ask you, would you visit that ranch knowing that you might bring something home? Okay, let's hit the brakes and talk about the skeptics, because not everyone's buying this. Robert Schaefer, a UFO skeptic, said the Shermans made it all up to sell the ranch to Bigelow, who was known for chasing UFOs. He points out that the Myers family, who owned it for 60 years, never reported anything weird. Schaefer calls the phenomena illusory, saying NIDS found no hard proof despite years of study. But here's the flip side. The Shermans didn't get rich. They sold the ranch for around $200,000, barely making even a profit. Now, Gwen told Ryan Skinner that Myers, the guy that owned it before, knew something was off but didn't warn them. It's claimed that he said, "I hoped it had gone away." Now, neighbors like the Garcia families reported strange lights and mutilations too, predating the Shermans, and the Pentagon's A-tip didn't just throw $22 million at nothing. Now, you got Junior Hicks also with his 400 plus witnesses. Are they all lying? Now, I have to ask you guys what you think. Are the Shermans con artists or victims of something real? Is the government hiding something? That's a stupid question. Or just wasting cash? And that's another stupid question. So what's going on at Skinwalker Ranch? Let's break this down in theories grounded in what we know. Now we have theory number 1, which are the aliens, the UFOs, the box-like crafts, the orbs, the massive ships. They scream extraterrestrial to some. Then you have the cattle mutilations with their surgical precision, mirror cases across the U.S. since the 1970s. Then you have the radiation spikes and equipment failures. That could be alien tech, maybe a cloaking device, or even a UFO's engine. Now, Hugel's daylight UFO and A-tip's interest fuel this, but where's the hard proof? They got no crash saucers, no alien bodies, just lights and stories. And then we have theory number 2, which is interdimensional portals. Researchers in Hunt for the Skinwalker think the ranch is actually a hot spot for wormholes or portals. You have the UAPs diving into the mesa, the petroglyphs showing the spirals, and the trickster vibe suggests something slipping between dimensions. Now, Travis Taylor's team caught anomalies aligning with stone circles on the mesa on one of the shows, like markers for a gateway. They have native legends about spirits moving through doorways that back this up. But it's hard to test a portal without jumping in, and I'll let them go first. I ain't doing it. Then you have theory number 3, which is government tech. Now, the Uinta Basin is remote, and it's perfect for classified projects. The orbs could be drones or maybe plasma flares, and the mutilations is a cover-up for bioweapons testing maybe. Now, A-tip's funding hints at the government's curiosity, but maybe they're studying their own tech. And the hitchhiker effect could be psychological, induced by infrasound or EMF, but why the centuries-old native stories? Then we have theory number 4, which is either skinwalkers or spirits. The Ute and the Navajo legend point to supernatural forces. You got the bulletproof wolf, shadow figures, and voices that fit the skinwalker myth, like witches shifting into animals and wielding dark magic. The Utes avoid the ranch, saying it's cursed, and the petroglyphs suggest ancient knowledge of something otherworldly. But you have the skeptics out there that say it's just folklore that's amplified by fear. What do you believe? Now, which theory vibes with you? Aliens, portals, government, or spirits, or something else? Drop in the comments. I'm dying to hear what you think. Now, to me, the Skinwalker Ranch is like a puzzle with no edges. Every piece is jagged, weird, and doesn't fit. They got the Sherman's Terror, Bigelow's Obsession, Bugel's Encounters, and Hicks Witnesses, and the Pentagon's Cache. They all scream something's happening out there. But what? Is it UFOs, portals, curses, or something else? Now, what gets me is the lack of hard proof. There's no photos, bodies, or wreckage. It makes it maddening. Yet the stories. You got stories from native legends to modern encounters. They won't let it go. This place feels like it's holding secrets that we're not ready for. Now, I want you to imagine you're there. The stars are blazing. The air is humming. And you see an orb dive into the mesa. You hear a snarl in the dark. Do you chase it, camera rolling, or run, knowing something doesn't want to be found? Man, the Skinwalker Ranch sticks with you, doesn't it? It's like a warning. There's actually some places and some secrets that you don't want to mess with. Okay, thanks for diving into Relative Perspective Paranormal Confessions with me, Steven. I want to give a big shout out to all of our truth seekers and you, our listeners, for keeping these mysteries alive. I'd like you to go ahead and hit subscribe, like, and share, and let's make this thing grow big, guys. Also, you can check us out on all the social media sites. I will put links down in the description for you. And you can email us your creepy stories or confessions to relativeperspective76@gmail.com. Next time, we're tackling another chilling tale, so hit that notification bell. And until then, stay curious, stay safe, and maybe avoid ranches named after shape-shifting witches. I want to say God bless you, we love you, and good night. Peace out. We did it again. Good job, guys. Good job.